Let's talk about how to increase your show rate. So whether you have booked call funnels or you're dealing with like outbound dialing or even dealing with leads who filled out a form and then they're just scheduling like follow-up calls, you're going to have to know how to keep your show rate high. The most interesting feedback that I ever got from a sales team is that they contacted me as the marketer and they're like, dude, these people are just, they're booking in, but they're not showing up. I've also gotten, hey, yeah, I'm reaching out to these people, they're scheduling calls, but they're not showing up. I typically always will ask them like, hey, like, so what are you actually doing to get them to show up? And they'll say something along the lines of like, we'll send a text and confirm with them. And that's about it. There's a huge problem here besides marketing automation. Two main things. So here's how typical, I would say, below average organizations deal with show rates. The typical show rate is dealt with by automation, which is going to be emails and text. So emails and texts, just simply confirming the appointment time, those basic reminders that like Calendly, schedule once, regular marketing automation will do. The decent, typical sales organizations will do a manual follow-up as well with a salesperson and all. That means it's typically just like hey, just want to make sure you're actually going to show up. Now, what an above average sales organization does is quite different. The above average sales organization does not just rely on marketing automation. They will do it 100%, but they don't just rely on that. They also will do what we call a manual follow-up attempt, meaning they'll simply just be like, hey, just want to make sure you're actually going to show up. In addition to that, when the call is being scheduled, they will sell the call. So what do I mean by that? Remember, what you're essentially saying when you're saying, hey, I'd love to get on a follow-up call with you. Do you have time at this time? Yes, I do. I'll make sure to show up. Great. You follow up with that person via marketing automation and text. Just want to make sure you're showing up at our time tomorrow at 9 a.m. Yes, I am. Great sales organizations, the ones that are above average, what I mean is they sell the call. They tell the person when they're actually booking, hey, I think it's going to be awesome when you show up for this call tomorrow at 9 a.m. Now, just real quick, I want to make sure that we actually go through this. It's super important to understand. The reason why we do this call is because blank. And then we actually want to explain ourselves. We want to go through a process that actually sells the person on the fact that it's worth their time to actually show up to the call. We can do this a few different ways. Some clients that we've worked with in the past, they will actually create incentives that the person like legitimately wants. Let me tell you some dumb incentives. A random ebook that you think is actually going to be valuable for the person, a lot of them aren't, okay? A lot of them aren't. And a lot of people don't want to spend the extra time to actually read through something like that. People will say, hey, if I'm actually going to show up for the call, we're going to give you an ebook. Terrible idea. People do not want to read it anyways, and they don't want to spend the additional time it takes to actually consume the information. Here's what it should look like. Hey, potential lead, I think it's awesome that you want to show up at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I'm really happy to book you in. Just really quick, I want to make sure that we're actually on the same page. So if you show up to this call tomorrow, we do incentivize action takers. We incentivize clients and customers who actually do what they're going to say. So if you show up tomorrow and we end up doing a deal, even in a couple weeks from now, we're going to give you X to sweeten up the deal a little bit. Just show up for the call tomorrow. Like I said, we don't even need to close it tomorrow. If we do close it tomorrow, by the way, we do have incentives for fast action takers. But hey, if it takes a couple of days, that's totally fine. We have incentives to get you to do a deal with us that are better and better the faster you actually do the deal. So just want to be clear that it all starts with you. Show up to the call tomorrow. If you show up for the call, we will do X for you. That's something that they actually want. There could be a discount on the deal. It could be an added product to the deal. It could be an additional onboarding meeting or just something like that, something valuable. It could be an extra training module that you were already going to sell them anyways in your main offer. So let me give you an example of this. If I have an offer that already has, let's say, 5 things in it, okay, it's a 5-part offer. This might be a bonus already, the additional part. They might not even know that the 5th part of the offer exists yet. They likely know what you sell, but they don't know all the details of what comes with what you sell. So what I mean by this is under the guise that they don't know everything, I can take something that would already come with it anyways and make it appear as if I'm going to give it to them if they do something sooner. And if they don't do the deal, then I might remove this from the offer entirely. Now, just to be clear, if the core offer has 5 things that they absolutely must get to actually get results with the offer, that's great. add a sixth thing that they can act on as a bonus. Likely every product, every service, every training program, no matter what it is that you're actually sitting here selling right now, has something else that can be offered up that would make the offer more valuable and can be used as an incentive to do different things throughout the deal. So that's one way to sell the call. There's multiple other ways that we can actually sell the call outside of just discounts and incentives by adding additional things on as fast action bonuses. We also want to make sure that the person gets generally what's actually going to happen on the call. Here's an example. Hey client, really appreciate you wanting to be on the call tomorrow at 9 a.m. We want to make sure that you understand why we do this call. So typically what we do on this is we actually go through a little bit of a presentation, how everything works, what the investment details are. We kind of go through some of the questions that you're likely going to have. We also go through some of the questions to make sure that it's actually a good fit for you. If you don't mind, I mean, we can just knock it right now if you have time. You can potentially do the call right then and there if you have the time. If not, then you're just gonna have to do the call tomorrow still. Let me get back to this example. So yeah, tomorrow we do this call. The reason we're going to do this call is we have a few things that we want to actually present to you. You're likely going to have a few questions for us, and we're going to have a few questions for you, and we want to make sure it's a good fit for you. Is that something you want to do tomorrow, or would you prefer to knock that out right now? Most people are just going to say, yeah, I'm fine to do it tomorrow. Great. In that case, I just want to get a verbal commitment from you. Surprisingly, about half the people who say they're going to show up tomorrow don't. That's why we typically try to have the conversation right now instead of actually waiting for tomorrow. Just to reiterate, you're going to want to say, if you are going to do it tomorrow, I just want to get a verbal commitment from you. Are you actually able to show up tomorrow? Can I get your word? We want to get the person to actually commit. People don't like to let themselves down. If you get somebody to commit to something that, sure, don't get me wrong, they're potentially going to lie to you, and I acknowledge that, guys. There's going to be a majority of people that when they do commit, they actually do end up showing up. So it does have a substantial difference in the show rate. The other things that we can do, I taught you in the selfie follow-up video and past communications. I want to be very clear in saying this. We want to do selfie videos. Selfie videos, instead of just generic manual follow-up, works a lot better for the letdown bias. We want to do selfie videos to the person that we're manually following up with, instead of just saying, hey, just want to make sure you're actually going to show up for the call tomorrow. So you can just whip out your phone and just say, hey, what's going on, lead? Just wanted to make sure that you're actually going to show up for this call. Once again, I'm the guy you spoke with yesterday, and schedule this in. If you have any questions, maybe you just want to get on the phone right now, I'm happy to do so. So let me know if this time does not work for you for any reason. You can also just shoot me back a text and let me know. We'll get it rescheduled. We'll make it convenient for you. I'm excited to talk to you. We'll talk to you soon. Boom. Okay, send it off. We can actually use that selfie video to model selling the call. Again, we can reiterate the reasons that we might have gotten from the communication line established with them prior to the scheduled call, but the reasons why they wanted to even show up in the first place. Okay, so we can just reinforce in that selfie video, hey, like, this is why you got to show up, man. We can also look up the answers from their lead form submission to see if there's anything that we can use in the selfie video follow-up. You can send them something like, hey lead, what's going on? Saw that you filled out our form. In your form, you said this. I'm really excited to talk to you. If you want to talk about it now, I'm happy to chat, to shoot over a text. I'm also happy to answer any questions, but we do have our call coming up at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Really excited to talk with you. If anything comes up, let me know. I'll see you at 9. You know, really simple stuff. We just want to leverage the data that we have right in front of us, and we want to sell the call. We want to do selfie videos. We want to rely on the marketing automation, but we can still do manual follow-up as a secondary after the video. But overall, once again, these tactics typically increase show rates from anywhere to 20 to 30% on average. There's no magic pill. There's no one thing. I want to be very clear that everything here that we talked about typically increases your show rate from 20 to 30%. It's really just a combination of all these. See you in the next video.